What is going on, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark. Today we're going to be discussing two of my favorite fandoms, comic books and movies. They've had an interesting relationship as far back as the 1940s. They've been up, they've been down, and right now they are so down. And we're going to talk about where they were, what happened, and where they're at now, and the potential that exists inside this massive slump that they're in. Do not go anywhere. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let's go. Shout out to the channel sponsors, Big Time Collectibles. It's con season. They're dropping fire. Don't miss out on it. Follow them on social medias. Links in the description. If you need anything cleaner press, my man Justin has got you covered. You can reach out to him directly on his social medias. Also linked in the description. Let him know you found him via the channel. And a huge shout out to ABX Comics and Games, my local comic shop. Linked in the description if you're just getting into the hobby of comics, tabletop gaming, or been there for a long time. It's a great, fantastic Facebook group. You can join down below. So let's get into it. And also be sure to say toward the end of the video, have a very special announcement as it's Heroes Con week, and it's going to be huge. You can come there. Be sure to come by and see me. We'll get into all that. Huge things happening. So comic book movies, comic books and movies, they came together like butt cheeks all the way back in the 1940s, as early as Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, on the silver screen, and it's never stopped since then. My entire life I've grown up with comic book, movie, and television show content, and it's had its ups, its downs, but in the past 10 years it saw its greatest heights, where everything that was being released increased the value of the comic book market. It got to the point where if a single rumor was posted about an upcoming character, an upcoming film, even story arcs, people would rush out to try to collect those books because it either, one, they wanted to get them, hold on to them till it released and resell them for a profit, or two, it re-sparked that memory, that nostalgia, that love for said comic book or character, and they didn't necessarily have it and they wanted to go ahead and recapture it again. Or like me and a lot of people, when something is coming out, you just get excited to relive in it. You want to participate in it somehow. But all of that combined drove the market up. And it created this crazy online culture where people were sharing about it, talking about it. There's this epically large sense of community surrounding movie announcements and films coming out. And then we got to the lockdown era. People were out of work. People fell back into secondary market to supplement their income, and the comic market exploded. Everyone was speculating on what's going to be the next thing happening. What should I invest in? And if people got a little sniff of something starting to sell, they would dive on it, and it would just, prices went through the roof on everything. We saw a legitimate bubble. But all bubbles do have to pop eventually. And that's exactly what we saw happen probably like 2 years ago. It was a slow pop at first, but now it is a very, very apparent explosion. That bubble is gone, donezo. The market is doing a lot of self-correcting. So between the height of where it was at now and where it's at now, it's absolutely night and day. Now, some of your books that are considered blue chip books, or like gold standard books, major first appearances keys, they haven't been hit quite as hard, but they still have had massive shifts, especially in books that cost in the tens of thousands of dollars. But what's happening now is really a correction. But despite the correction, we're seeing no forward momentum, no hype, no excitement on anything new that's being announced. The MCU is the easiest one to reference. At this point, we have passed all of our like gold standard characters, and we're watching a lot of secondary characters get some limelight, get their own movies and stuff, like Shang-Chi. You're about to have a brand new Captain America without Steve Rogers. You've got characters like American Chavez and countless other characters that are now in this new era. Kate Bishop, She-Hulk, all these characters that you do not see people rushing out and getting their first appearances. I, for one, own a few of those keys of those characters that I've watched those prices steadily go down despite having movie appearances or television show appearances. But what I'm also looking at is beyond that, is now that there's a huge shift away from the whole MCU being a guaranteed success, people tend to be more dissatisfied with it than they are excited for it. People have completely lost faith in Disney MCU as a whole, and I don't blame them. I'm right there with them. I can't stand 90% of the stuff that they put out. I don't get excited for it. I get nervous about having to watch it because I hope it's good, and they always let you down anymore. But one thing that's even more concerning when it comes to like the comic book movie speculation is that's not the only universe. You know, we have a brand new DCU that's just about to get started. James Gunn left Marvel to go run the DC Comics movie universe, and he has made countless announcements. He started it off, kicking it off with at least 10 different announcements, from Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, all the way down to obscure characters like Booster Gold and the Creature Commandos. We haven't seen those books really move either. Now, there is a caveat. One of the things about people trying to collect and spec on DC Comics is their characters go back a lot farther than Marvel characters do. The vast majority, the overwhelming majority of Marvel key characters all premiered in like the 60s. With DC Comics, it goes back to the late 1930s and 40s, pre-World War II. So if someone's like, hey, a Superman movie's coming, I want to get his first appearance. Well, you don't have multiple millions of dollars. You can't. Same thing for Batman. Same thing for Wonder Woman. So when it comes to speculating on DC Comics, it's kind of a weird thing. You can't just go out and get those first appearances. So you have to kind of like look for secondary appearances or story arcs. And one example of a book that actually has got a small footing is the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow book. Even though there's not this huge, I don't know, shared excitement for this DCU stuff, you can see little hints that some people have a little bit of faith in some stuff. Supergirl goes back to the Silver Age, very expensive first appearance. But 2 years ago, Tom King wrote a 12-issue miniseries that was referenced in the announcement for the Supergirl movie. That 12-issue miniseries is not rare. It's new. But the first issue has looked like it's kind of picked up a $15, $20 price tag. So that's kind of interesting that people have found a story arc to kind of focus around, much like with the Marvel stuff, how you have the Infinity Saga and the Infinity Gauntlet and like Secret Wars. They reference certain comic books. So that's really the only hint that I've seen of that with the DC stuff. There's countless characters that have been confirmed for the Superman movie, the flagship film, kicking it all off. And I've even picked up a few of those key characters since they were announced because I wanted to get them before they go up. I've constantly collected DC key comics, especially the Silver Age stuff, and I was worried that with James Gunn coming in, they were going to get spiked. People are going to rush out to try to get them to sit on them until this stuff kind of potentially caught some traction, maybe started building a fan base, but it still hasn't happened. We're more than a year out from James Gunn announcing and confirming the characters, movies, and specifics of who you can expect in these. And these books still aren't moving. So with people completely having lost faith in Marvel, and we don't see anything move over there, you have a brand new universe that nobody's even investing in or like showing any faith toward. And then you switch and you can apply that same thing to Star Wars. It never really had the giant reaction like Marvel did, but for a while there, people really were looking into some of the keys and trying to find some to chase. Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1 probably being the most successful, along with Star Wars Clone Wars, the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano. Those two seem like outliers that kind of have a built-in fan base for Ahsoka and General Thrawn that kind of existed before Disney took on those properties or projects, and they've kind of increased after. But outside of that, one thing that does look like it's doing better despite the movies is the Transformers universe. And this is the part that really excites me on where the comic movie spec is, because Transformers started out as a cartoon, got comic books, has had a massively successful movie franchise. And despite how people see or don't see the films, despite how well they do or don't do, we've just seen the Transformers comics build up a whole second win since they came out, build up a whole mass fandom just for the comics alone, all because a very, very high quality comic book storyline has recently started. They completely started from scratch at Image Comics, the same people that created Spawn and put out Ghost Machine. And because of the popularity of the story alone, primarily because of the faith in the creator, Daniel Warren Johnson, it created a fandom. Now, it doesn't really reach beyond the current comic book readers. You have numerous that were not caring about Transformers that jumped on and found a new fandom with it, but it wasn't shifted for movie viewers. So it's pretty cool to see that while comic book movies are doing nothing to help the market, the quality of stories still can. And that's really good news in my book. I hope to see that same thing happening more with the big two, Marvel and DC, where the stories are so good, the companies care so much about these properties that they're putting both feet in them, and it's really drawing in a bigger fan base, because that's what the hobby really needs to succeed. It doesn't need movies to hold it up, to tentpole it to the point where the comics are affected by it, where what happens in these comic books can't go this way because the movie's going this way and we need to aim for the movie. Like, it's so exciting to see a little sign of hope that comics can self-support despite the movies. Leave me a comment down below. What do you think about comic book movies as a whole? What's some of your favorite stories that really re-sparked your love for the comic hobby? And let's talk about that special announcement. Heroes Con is this week. This video will drop on Monday, so that means in 3 days, me and Pops will be hopping in the car, heading to Charlotte, meeting up with Rob's Fat Sacks of Comics, DJ Links, and setting up shop for Comics Curing Cancer, the annual event that we spearhead. We're going to be setting up together in one place for the first time at Heroes Con. We'll be at booth 1769. Fantastic way to battle the ultimate supervillain, Cancer, that SOB. We are coming for it, and we're coming for it in style. We have our very own Comics Curing Cancer art book issue 1, featuring artwork by professionals as well as community members that all contributed to it. It will be $20, sold exclusively at the booth. If we have any extras, we'll post them up for sale beyond that. Also, huge shout out to Big Time Collectibles, who donated 50% of the print run of this exclusive, the shared exclusive Sonic the Hedgehog 69 black and white edition of Miko Suwayan's variant, which is super dope. Beautiful book. Cannot thank them enough. Again, they covered the cost of all of this, and we'll have those at the booth. We also have a few of those allocated to the site already. You can check the description to find the Comics Curing Cancer link tree and go check those out now. And we will also be having some professional artists at the booth with us. The cover artist for the art book, Austin LeMay, will be there signing all 3 days of the convention. Also, we will have none other than airbrush artist Martin Zavala, who will be signing on Sunday and doing a live demonstration. And the piece that he draws at the booth will be going to the big finale event this October, will be auctioned off there. Matt Wilson, who did last year's Comics Curing Cancer exclusive, as well as numerous other books, will be there signing on Sunday. And last but not least, Chad Chotel will be there on Friday and Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. So be sure to come by the booth if you're there. Support the cause. Come say, hey, we'll be doing raffles and all kinds of other stuff completely free. Come by, take a picture of the booth, share it on your social, show us, and you can win some dope stuff. We're really excited about this. Cannot thank the community enough for making this all possible. Everybody, you all rock. Until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.